Hi everybody, my name is Chris Kendall. I'm here in the Bay Area of San Francisco, and even here on the other side of the pond, people are just obsessed with this story of Prince Harry and his brand new biography, which has broken all sorts of records when it comes to book sales. I think it's the fastest selling biography or memoir in human history. And I guess there are some really complex issues that I've been reflecting on as I think about our reaction to this memoir. And they come under three words. The first is equality, the second is privacy, and the third is curiosity. So the first, equality. This whole idea that there would be an heir and a spare is problematic. You can see the destructive impact it's had on Prince Harry, that he's always felt second class. He was a backup for someone else. And we know in our own lives, don't we, if we've been shown favoritism, or someone in our family or our workplace is shown favoritism over us, how destructive that is, how it eats away at your sense of dignity and self. And so this idea of equality is really important to us, isn't it? That we're being treated fairly and with equity. Now you might say that Harry's complaint is just that the way it's worked out in his family, but others would see this whole challenge as being a criticism of a hereditary monarchy. Why should one line, one genetic line, one biologically accidental line of people have preference over us? They're not more skilled or more compassionate or kinder or nicer people. They're just born into privilege, and that privilege has scales, you know. An heir in line to the throne is going to be more important to the spare, as he's been described. And so we can see the destructive impact that's having. So why have the system at all? I think that's a fair question. And for me, my Christian faith says every single human being has intrinsic value, dignity and worth. It doesn't matter how wealthy you are or how poor you are or what colour your skin is or what gender you are or what sexuality you are. Every single human being has that intrinsic value, dignity and worth, and any system that tries to build some kind of hierarchy based on your genetics is problematic. So I understand the criticism of the monarchy, but whether you're a royalist or a republican, I still think we need to think about the way that this inequality is so destructive. And you can see that in Harry's life, but what about our wider society? Look at the ways that inequality is eating away at the dignity of so many people who feel like they're being treated differently because they're a different gender or they're a different sexuality or they're a different race or different ability. And watching what's happening to Harry, I guess, re-inspires me that we need to be working harder for dignity and equality. And the second word that's come to mind watching this whole drama unfold is privacy. A lot of the critique in Harry's biography is that he hasn't had the privacy that he wanted, that the paparazzi have been all over his life and people have been briefing the press against him, and people say, well, surely that's hypocritical. You know, how can he ask for privacy and yet air so many of his private details in public? Isn't that hypocrisy? I guess I'm a little bit more sympathetic. I think about the fact that his family have been plagued by the paparazzi even before the tragic accident that saw his mother die. And so this relationship with the press has been the kind of backstory of his entire life. So I understand that anger and frustration that he's got with the media. But also, I've experienced a negative story being written about me. And I felt it was like having a target on my back. It wasn't fair, it wasn't true, it was completely unjustified. The journalists wouldn't listen to another side of the story, and, you know, proved to be completely fictitious. But all the time that story was out there, I felt like I had a target on my back, that people were thinking things about me that weren't true. I felt my reputation was at stake, my character was at stake. And so there's this instinct in me that I want to set the record straight. I want to put things out there that are true to combat the lies. And so I kind of understand why Prince Harry would want to use the platform that he's got in order to tell his side of the story, to set the record straight, to put the liars at bay. And so I guess I've got space for him to be able to have his say. Third area to think about here. The third question or word is curiosity. I am a parent. I'm a parent of children, some of whom are my birth kids and some of whom are fostered and adopted. And children that have had a really difficult start in life often have behaviours that are unusual or disruptive or difficult. And a lot of those behaviours are related to early trauma. If you're a child that's been abused or neglected, then that often works its way out in the way that you have relationships with other people, the amount of trust you have, or how you push the boundaries sometimes to see if you're still loved. And I was told early on in my parenthood that I should aim to be curious, not furious. A friend of mine, Betsy Deteri, came up with that phrase for me. And it's so helpful, isn't it? Rather than just get angry at people who are not behaving the way that I want them to, or being disruptive or difficult, rather than get angry, I should get curious. Why? What's the story behind the behaviour? Every behaviour is an act of communication. It's a child telling us that something's not right, and we need to be able to listen to it and put that thing right, rather than just respond to the behaviour. And when you look at Prince Harry's life, he experienced early trauma, didn't he? Just when he was 12 or 13, his mother, his beloved mother, is ripped from him through this tragic accident, which many people at the time were calling some kind of conspiracy or even murder. And that loss, that early loss, has a huge impact on a young person's life. Some psychologists call it the primal wound, a wound that takes place in your life that's so painful and powerful that it redirects almost everything in your life. Many children in care have that experience. And so I guess I want to cut Prince Harry some slack. The reason that he's behaving in this way has a background. There's some communication going on here, and I want to hear it and understand it before I get judgmental and reactive. Curious, not furious. Now you might be saying, why are we spending so much time talking about these royals? They've got more bandwidth and more airtime than anyone deserves. Well, I want to say these issues are not just about how we treat the royal family, but how we treat one another. Surely everybody has the same value, equality, and we need to fight for equality wherever we can. Surely everyone's entitled to the truth being told about them and privacy for the things that they don't want aired in public. And surely we want to be compassionate and kind and thoughtful in the way that we relate to all people. So I guess what we're seeing in the microcosm of the response to Harry is an opportunity for us to rethink how we treat everyone. I'm really passionate that children in the care system are treated with dignity. I'm really passionate that refugees and asylum seekers are given kindness and compassion rather than judgment. And so maybe one reaction to this conversation about Harry is that we can think about how we can treat each other better, all of us.